TMD had a different perspective to bring in today here. We had people talking about technology, the practical challenges in day-to-day execution of their daily roles as recruiters, and immense experience and knowledge that Mr. TMD has brought in. Before I request Mr. BR to give his closing comments, I open the session for the audience to ask if they have any questions to the panelists.
Ball rolling, I will shoot out the first question. I'm shooting this out as a recruiter. Maybe this could be for Murli or for Nina. See, this is predominantly the audience is a recruiting fraternity. Okay, so and the recruiting fraternity, like Adesh summed up, has been used to working in one particular manner. If they have to individually upgrade their own personal skills, okay, what are those skills or what are those trainings as recruiters you recommend to us? You guys are the experts in technology, so that's a question. So with this question, I'm opening up it to the audience also. You can start messaging. Maybe either I can read, or we will open up your audio for you. You can directly ask the.
Rajini, you want whom to go for this answer? Whom do you want to?
Maybe I would request you and Nina to please respond to this, because there are two perspectives from this.
All right. I think my take on this is that, as I said, you have to move away from recruiting to assessment. I think that's what the value addition. Companies will pay you money for being better at assessments, and their assessment should be on top of AIML. So my first skill set I want to accept, I want to look for, or I want to acquire for myself, will be on how to use data analytics better. For example, how do you see post-joining performance? How do you correlate with pre-joining demographics? This is a very interesting question, and therefore, for doing that, I need to understand the data analytics piece. The data analytics piece requires understanding of statistics. So I will definitely more focus on understanding statistics a lot better, so that I can use AIML better. The second aspect is, I think I will definitely start moving into understanding of psychology. Historically, we were more worried about being good salesmen. Most of the recruiters, the main job was how to push a job role or push a particular company. And I think that should change into looking at how can you become better in assessment. And assessment means, as I said, what people are not saying is more important than what they say. And therefore, I would say psychological understanding, active listening, a lot of things on negotiations, and all of them become the domain. In my mind, what I mean is recruiting psychology. So that's another area which I'm of interest to me. Thank you, Rajini.
Thank you, TMD. Are there any more questions?
I can add from there. I mean, I think you've covered a couple of very good points there, especially on the data analytics, Muralidharan. But in addition to that, if I was to add, I think the biggest learning that probably any recruiter will have to do is, it's not about so much about the what, but it's so much about the how. It is about how do we keep an open mind to the change? How do we kind of, adapt to the change management? And if with that comes the openness to learn on how to use these systems, keep an open mind. At the end of the day, machine learning will not work unless the system is augmented. So the human angle is always going to be there, but it's going to be in a different shape. So, humans are there to stay. We just have to keep an open mind to adapting to these systems, to kind of, working with these systems so that they work better for us. Even with AI, it is a collaborative process. So it's an augmented process, and we got to, so humans are not going anywhere, and they will always be there to use these systems and to improve these systems. So I would say an open mind, and then of course making sure that you keep abreast with the latest technologies, like Muralidharan said about data science, and at least to know what is it all about and demystify it for yourself so that you adapt better to it and you accept it better and take the goodness out of it rather than fighting it or questioning or being cynical about it. So, I mean, that would be my view.
Rajini, I want to just close it with two statements on technology. If I have to choose two technologies where I want to master, I think one is to become very familiar with an ATS. Historically, recruiters have never loved ATS. They have always thought ATS increases their measurement. ATS tells you what you do on a daily basis, which nobody wants to be measured on. I think we need to understand ATS can be your friend. How to use an ATS to become more effective is one thing I would like to learn. The second is bots. I think we discussed it. I think Raj mentioned it very well. I think the future is going to be in bots. Even in our own company, Rajini, you know that 30 people have got certified now, automation anywhere. We're looking at various bot technologies. So then you can work with an ATS, you can work with an Excel sheet, you can work with multiple technologies, and the bot can be the integrator between various new emerging technologies and existing technologies. So I would definitely go for certification of various types of automation anywhere type of technology in bots.
Sure. Thank you, Tim. One more question.
I think there are two more questions in the chat which have come. One from Hari Prasad. How do these advanced technologies or tools help organizations to create better employee experiences and candidate experiences? This is one question, and the other one is from Avinash Kumar. Do you have any new programs, perks, or benefits to encourage employees to be productive and happy at home? Okay. So, and then there is one directly which came to me from Shiv Shankar. He's saying that we are talking about AI, machine language for agency and the client. What if the candidate starts using the technology himself? So these are three questions. Maybe the last one, Meena can answer. How do you improve the experiences? Maybe I don't know. Raj can handle it. And the last one, Murli, maybe you can give some inputs to the recruiting fraternity of managing their own employees working from home for them to be productive. Yeah, I think we'll start with Meena, then go to Raj, and then come to Murli.
Yeah, Peter, if you could just articulate the question once again. I think it was around the
how do you improve the employee and the candidate experience using these technologies?
Fantastic. I love that question. And I think ultimately the bottom line is technology has to make our lives better. And that is what technology is all about. I mean, if you compare to the candidate's experience first, let me talk about that, because that probably is the most painful experience. You know, being a job seeker is a very, very traumatizing experience in itself. So simple things like having to apply to hundreds of jobs because you don't know where your CV is going to stick. Let's start with that one big problem. You know, that itself can be changed or improved by artificial intelligence, because with AI, you don't have to go applying, because AI is the one which kind of recommends jobs to you and says, look, I've looked at your persona. I know this is the kind of experience. And from my experience with the big data of what's happening in the outside world, I think you have a very high chance of making it to these jobs. And kind of, so of course, everything that I'm saying sounds like a long statement, but this all happens in a matter of seconds, right? So I think it starts from finding jobs. Then it's the whole application process about having to create multiple cover letters, different cover letters for different jobs and so on. All of that takes time, effort, and then you don't hear back from the companies. And you're like, okay, my CV's gone into a black hole. All of these things need to be kind of addressed. And this is where technology is so wonderful, because, it's able to respond back to you, come back to you on what are the reasons why you didn't make it, and also suggest to you that these are the jobs. These are the top 3 jobs I recommend, looking at your persona and your skill and your chances of winning it, rather than having to go and apply for 100 and get 99 rejections, So I think it kind of completely is a game changer when it comes to the candidate experience, if done well. And as far as the, from the recruiter point of view, I look back to my early days as a recruiter, where we didn't even have LinkedIn. And I go back to those ages, which I'm sure a lot of people here will not relate to, that we had dial-up internet. So so from those days where you were doing things very, very rudimentary, to the kind of technology and the tools that are available to you, it just improves the kind of work that you're doing. So it improves the way you work, the way you think. You put in your energy more into things that matter rather than trying to to spend a lot of energy in things which can really be improved. So I think overall technology just simply totally changes the way we it impacts our life in a very, very positive way.
Thank you, Nina.
Um,
The next is Raj.
to Raj.
So could you repeat that question, please?
The question is, if the candidate starts using AI and ML, how will the whole scenario change?
Fair enough. So we're seeing that pattern actually. There are AI platforms now geared towards candidates. And what we're noticing, in fact, I believe LinkedIn is about to launch something of that sort in the near future. The thing we are noticing is when candidates are starting to be building their own RPA, for example, as a tool of choice for search, which we do recommend. And one thing that there's a trick to it. It's called intent-based searching. What are the intent keywords for the recruiters? What drives it's not matching up to the job description, as TMD had earlier pointed out, right? They have to beat the system. It's intent-based. So there's this evolution of RPA bots out there in public forum that you can actually go download and play with that. So that's one thing. The second thing is it's actually putting pressure back on the recruiters to go compete for attention. With the integration of chatbot, and we have some recruiters we work with where chatbot is integrated, just not at a rudimentary level. It is highly integrated into, not for a conversation, but for giving answers about the company that is looking for that matching profile. So it's looking into their CRM or the ATS system, the marketing tools, looking for pipelines of who are they talking to. So this actually with chatbot is become a very efficient tool where the recruiter is only there to close the deal for the candidate rather than facilitating the whole process. So it actually helps recruiters.
Thank you. Murli?
Yeah, I think that's our work from home, right? The question is on work from home.
Yeah, how do you improve productivity and morale of employees working from home?
Yeah, I think Adesh also mentioned that we at TMI also, we have gone heavily into work from home. And I think the key to understanding work from home for a recruiter, we have to learn to use an ATS. You cannot work on the old model of working in your laptop, putting something in your own server, your own machine, put something in folders, something in Excel, something in mail. I think the time has come for all of us to embrace an ATS. We in TMI also, we have done 3 ATS. I think somebody mentioned I am the original creator of 3 ATS and I checked all of them because I think that none of them were good enough. So the challenge is that how do we accept the reality that we need to have a collaborative platform which guides you, which helps you, and we need to embrace it. So first is ATS. Second thing I think we need to do for recruiters, we are social animals. We like to meet candidates. We need to like to go out and meet other recruiters in an office environment. What we miss the most is an ability to converse, because that is what we have been told. As a recruiter, your expertise is about assessing people, and therefore people connection is very important. Work from home takes away the most critical aspect of your job role, your personality, your self-esteem. So I think that's going to be a tougher challenge because you need to get familiar with, let's say, Zoom. How do you connect with people using Zoom? How do you connect with people in terms of conversationally or otherwise, apart from the traditional when you drink coffee in the office kind of environment, which you're going to do it from home? How do you build bridges with candidates, build bridges with co-workers, and using a remote technology? I think that is going to be a big game changer. And we are still learning that in TMI. For example, Peter, you are aware that every We want to build Saturday as an engagement day, where employees come in together on Saturdays. We want them to meet each other, spend some time with each other, maybe once a week. That's enough. But at least just remaining 4 days or 5 days, you can work from home. So you need that physical touch. And I think that's something we as organizations have to design it to some extent. And also as the individuals, they need to learn to build remote technology, using remote technology, still build a lot of relationships. And I think that is going to be a new challenge for us.
Thank you, TMD. In the interest of time, I just would like to ask the panelists if there are any more questions. Would you like to take it, or we would gather the questions and email it to you for responses to them? How do you say? You want to take the questions?
I can take questions here, if I can stay.
Sure. Is there any question for us?
Yeah. I think from Archana, this question is to all the panelists. What is the root cause of automation anxiety?
I can tell you from dealing with the automation on a daily basis with tens of customers at a time, the number one is job security. Deep inside, will it take away? And the unknown, the second part is the unknown. What am I going to do? What is my next hop? Those are the two factors, but the root cause is insecurity in self. And that's something, especially in India and in the US, there is no, courses, no formal hands-on learning as to be how to feel secured in a very volatile economy. And the economy is going to keep swinging more and more on either side. So anxiety is good, but putting a wholehearted effort is part of the challenge that we see when we analyze people for whatever the CEO candidates. One of the biggest things we find is if you wholeheartedly put your effort, knowing well there's a risk, you feel accomplished and you feel strong about yourself. So the candidates that are very anxious should think about change as a mandatory aspect of what recruitment is all about their future, their career.
Thank you, Raj. We have another question from Mr. Jijo Abraham. He's asking, does the artificial intelligence or a machine learning which is built have the logic which helps the recruiter to get trained and make recruiter perform better, providing a right feedback wherein the recruiter shall be able to improve the assessing skills of a candidate?
I'm happy to take that, Rajni.
Sure, Nina.
I think you've put it in a very, very interesting form because ultimately, I think like Muralidharan said, when you have the right ATS, it kind of puts a process in place. It gives you a structure, and you're not doing a different process one day and a different process another day, and trying to find your way around that what sticks, what works. So ATS gives you that structure. It gives you a system, gives you that a method to that success, right? And you follow that pattern, but then you start using your own innovation and your own experience as a recruiter. You bring in your domain knowledge, and when the right result comes in, when you use your own experiences, follow the structure on the ATS, and use the second opinion that the AI gives you about a candidate to get you the best result. And so the simple answer to your question, I would say, being a CEO and a founder of a platform company, is absolutely, because it shows you the direction. It takes you logically from one step to another step. It gives you a second opinion with the scores and the AI, the cognitive intelligence around the candidate's persona and and the other scores. And it just keeps you on track. So even when you come the next day, you know where to pick the threads up from. You're not kind of finding your way around that, oh, where did I leave, which was the candidate which I was last working on, and so on. So yeah, it gives you a method to the recruiting process. So yes, absolutely, I would say spot on.
Sure. In the interest of time, we will have the last question to Mr. TMD. The question is how one can introduce recruitment automation in a traditional organization and get management's buy-in.
Also, the other question is a buy-in question for especially technology for small companies. Sometimes is very daunting to even attempt. So there's a question saying that how can you make the solution more affordable for small businesses? So if these two questions can be answered, we will stop with this and then we can wrap up.
I'll start off with it, and I'll request Mr. Pandey. I think the other panelist is there. He's left or is still there?
He's there.
So you can supplement what I'm saying. I think first of all, the cost of automation being expensive in a cloud era is no longer valid. I think it's all linked to number of licenses, how we use the licenses. We don't have to invest in servers, you know, invest in databases. So I think the first memory people have on expensive. So I think there's a large effort involved in customizing it and configuring it for a specific recruiting company. And if they understand these two, I think it's a long-term game changer for the company. They will be alive, they will grow. We are building, I think some of you may be aware that we are now looking at how do you do the continuity, like she talked about daily continuity. We are looking at workbenches. How do you maintain a workbench where people leave a workbench and come back in the next morning and the workbench continues? What you have to do on a daily basis. Now, this kind of automation is what we are trying to build in the ATS. And I think my recommendation will be that this is the reality. We have to migrate, we have to work from home, we have to use an ATS. And therefore, if the management of the company owns up saying that this is a very crucial process and we need to put a lot of people behind the change management, I think we'll succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, TMD. We are getting close to the end of this.
I want Mr. Pandey to answer the point. I think the second point, I think he's not asked the gentleman has to speak, right? I said, I want him to supplement what I said.
Please go ahead, Mr. Adesh. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get your specific question. Can you just repeat the question?
The question was about automation in recruiting companies.
Yeah.
How do you make it happen? And what are the challenges? And one of the challenges I addressed is cost is not a challenge. Now the licensing fees may not be the challenge. The real challenge is somewhere else. What has been your experience in using automation in recruiting?
So I'll just share my experience first, and then I'll also tell you what my suggestion is to other recruiters. So frankly speaking, I have developed my own ATS, and it's a ATS which is working on a Google Drive platform. It is a very comprehensive thing. It may sound very esoteric to you that how can a Google Drive system or a Google Sheets based system work on it? But I can assure you that it is a end-to-end ATS. It does everything that I want, and everybody, all the things that you were just talking about in terms of continuity. If any of my team member is absent, that does not affect me because everything is transparently visible. Anybody can come in and step in and take over from there. And all data, everything is transparently visible to everybody. So that is about the system which I am having. And in fact, I have also now made it into a saleable product, which I am also now, I have also successfully implemented it in one of our ERA members' office, that is Cornerstone. There are many other ATS solutions also which are available in the market. These are the typical SaaS applications which are available. Now, according to me, all these applications are good enough. There is nothing wrong with any of them. The bigger challenge why these ATSs don't perform is purely because we are not fully prepared to use the ATS the way they are supposed to run. And our own thinking and approach towards ATS, what we expect from the ATS versus what the ATS is delivering. Cost is not the main problem. The problem is that right from the owner himself or herself, there has to be a commitment towards getting your hands dirty with the ATS. It is not something which can be done with a ha laga do. Someone else will come and fix it for me. And I can sit at the top and I will hope and expect that everything will run hunky-dory from the next day. It does not happen like that. You have to spend quality time. You have to understand the nuts and bolts. You have to get into the detailing, and you have to, every company has their own nuances. Everybody works in a slightly different way. And that customization is very critical. Your workflow versus whatever is the system workflow may not be matching. And therefore, either you have to adjust to the system workflow, or you have to get the system workflow to get changed and adjusted to your workflow. Now, all this requires huge amount of micro level management. And there is a pain. If you have to get that gain, you'll have to go through that pain. And which is I think where the compromises happen. And that's where we come up with this problem that the ATS failed. It's not the ATS which has failed, it is our own mental preparedness for undertaking this journey. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Adesh.